Good morning. I hope you can all hear me. I'm kind of the warm-up act for Stuart Nichols. So I'm hoping you stick around. There's method in the madness. Look, I couldn't be more excited to be here today. It is my first gig here at Good Oil, and I've actually taken over from, I would say, the doyen of industry in Eric Strideberg, who has done over 20 of these. So is that my gong already? No? Okay. Good, thank you. But before I launch into it, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, but also the traditional owners where Buru operates. The Kimberley is very culturally rich, a lot of heritage, and we do a lot of work in the Kimberley to maintain those healthy relationships. But we are now also in South Australia. So I would like to extend my respect to those in the Adelaide Super Basin in South Australia. Now, I've come up here and I don't have my donga. Here we go, I found it. Look, can I just have a bit of show of hands? Who has heard of Buru before? Okay, keep your hands up, please, if you have been following the story since 2008. More or less the same. So, you know, you would have kind of lived through the trials and tribulations of this company that was built by Eric. It is a company that obviously has been around. We are the most active onshore explorer in West Australia since the inception of the company. We've drilled something like 34 wells. We have shot 25 seismic surveys. We've contributed millions into the coffers of government through our Ungani venture. We have found Yallaroo, a very significant tight gas resource, and in 2021, I think we've hit the mother lode. We've actually hit the Rafael conventional gas and condensate discovery. For us, that's a game changer. Behind me, you'll see a bit more about what we do. We've got good cash on hand. We're making deals to make sure we've got a good capital runway. But we also are a little bit different to the other juniors in the room insofar as we've got credible, authentic new energy businesses to support that longer term license to operate and to support our business. And those businesses are 2H Resources in natural hydrogen exploration in South Australia. We've got Geovault, a very credible carbon capture and storage subsidiary that we will no doubt need to tap on the shoulder to make Rafael a reality, but also provide third-party emitters with a sink for those emitters that don't have a plan B. And we've got a very aptly named, and I can just hear the music, subsidiary called Batmin. And Batmin has been quite successful in working with SEPA Resources in locating zinc and lead mineralisation over those Canning Basin permits that we have. Where do we operate? We operate in the Canning. We've got the size of Israel, some 22,000 square kilometres. We've got 12 licence areas. We are the operator in the Canning. We have always been the operator in the Canning. What is the main strategy behind the Canning? Number one is really build an energy hub on the back of Rafael. We believe that being in such close proximity as Rafael is to Broome, as Rafael is to Derby, there should be absolutely no reason when we prove up the gas to build a responsible energy hub and attract and create demand and build something quite special for the Kimberley. We will talk a little bit later about how we will do that. We have spent the last 8 months with engineers, some of you who are in the room, to prove up that we have got technical, economic and commercial feasibility to bring that gas to market. And we have selected to do that in a two-phased approach, much like Strike in a way. Number one, to get some early cash flows for our shareholders as early as 2025. Number two is to make sure that we've got good cash flows, enduring cash flows from 2029. My apologies, it's as early as 2027. In the South Australian acreage, we've got the size of Belgium. It is the hotbed of natural hydrogen exploration. I've got some great neighbours. I've got Alexander Downer to my left. I've got Peter Coleman to my right. Gold Hydrogen is about to do its drilling in the next couple of months. The market will be looking at that, and there's every chance that on the back of that technical confirmation of naturally occurring hydrogen, I will have a subsidiary that's worth more than Buru. So watch this space. Clearly, the end game is to make these subsidiaries independently investable, but the right time is not today, the right time is approaching. So, why Buru? Well, whether you're an investor or whether you are like myself, who have given up, wasn't quite cushy, but it was a very stable, very rewarding executive job at the bigger end of town. What's the value proposition for me? The value proposition, the aha moment for me came when I heard about Rafael and I did my own DD on it. Rafael is a significantly large conventional wet gas discovery. It has been independently certified to potentially hold over 1 trillion cubic feet of conventional gas and over 20 million barrels of condensate. That's transformative. And I guess with the latest government domestic gas policy that was announced not that long ago, it's also encouraging, especially if we have those higher volumes proven up through appraisal next year. I've also joined because we've got an amazing runway in the Canning Basin. I've got, and thank you to Eric, we have got a really competent, loyal set of experts that know the Canning Basin and the Dolomites there like no one else. So we have been building prospects and leads inventory to backfill Rafael. Number 3, we are an oil producer. I've just stopped production very recently. And why? Because the government is taking the road away from me, so I can't get the oil to market. But I have now got it back 100%. I struck a deal with Rock Oil, who has been my faithful partner for some time, a bit more faithful than Origin. I now have 100% of this asset, and that gives Buru amazing strategic optionality. So watch this space on Ungani. Number 4 is about energy transition. I spoke briefly about the subsidiaries we've got. And number 5, none of this would be possible without a bunch of people that actually know what they're doing. And thank goodness I did not have to change too much around, but we've got a really good team. Okay, so coming back, here we go. I've talked about the potential world-scale resource. I think it's important to recognise that the Canning Basin is something like 9 times the size of the Perth Basin. So there's plenty of opportunities there. It has been 14 years in the making, finding this conventional resource. And where there is one, there might be more. So we do have a bunch of conventional targets and leads to follow up exploration in due course. Number 2, we have been spending 8 months with engineers, including Technip, including Petrofac, to actually work up various scenarios so that irrespective of appraisal outcomes next year, we've got a project. And as I stand here right now, I can tell you categorically we've got a project, phase 1, and that project phase 1 talks to our independently certified 1C contingent resource, the minimum of the minimum. We've got an economic project that does that, and it will have an amazing imprint on the Kimberley. It will effectively replace current trucked LNG that's coming from the Northwest Shelf with nice clean gas from 80 kilometres to the east of the existing power station with a 50% renewable component, which is very, very important. We will roll out the very same model across Campbellion, Luma, Fitzroy Crossing, Halls Creek and Derby, and remove the need for smelly diesel from those economies through Rafael gas. If I look at where we are today, I spoke about the discovery. It is, you know, I wouldn't have joined unless Eric had something like that up his sleeve, to be honest. Very low CO2, so GeoVault will not have to play a very heavy role in sequestering that, but it will be a lovely pilot project to attract other emitters, including international emitters. I've mentioned the range. I mean, from 59 BCF on a 1C level to over TCF on a 3C level. The market, you know, they anchor on numbers, and when the ERC 2C came out, which is purely a mathematical number, people anchored on this 260 or so BCF. I've been trying to get the market off that, so we've done a lot of deterministic work to give us comfort that it's at least twice that much. That's real, right? I mean, when you stand next to that, you can kind of hear it a little bit better. It's a conventional resource. Yes, it flowed at 700 million scuffs a day, but we only tested one of the 3 gas-bearing zones for technical reasons. So I've got every intention to get back there once I've got a rig to do the appraisal drilling and maybe have another look at that. But 3 gas-bearing zones, one of which produced quite comfortably at 7 million scuffs a day. We have we are shooting seismic as we speak. I was quiet with the market regarding when we actually started, but we have started, and we will have first pass interpretations by early November. I know rates here pretty well. I was with Beach for a while. Got the license for them there as well, sorry. And I've got a bit of an aerial comparison there to show you where Rafael sits. Obviously, aerial extent very similar. What I need to do is just prove up exactly where we sit between that 1C and 3C. All right, technical work very quickly. I talked about the 8 months of work. What it shows that we do have a goer of a project for phase 1, which we have commenced already on, and depending on appraisal drilling outcomes next year, we will roll straight into phase 2. Phase 1 is a local power, gas-to-power project. Phase 2 will either be an ammonia, a methanol, or LNG project based on appraisal outcomes. This is what phase 1 looks like. I can't be more excited. I will be up at the Kimberley Economic Forum in the next couple of weeks talking about this project. It is small footprint. I mean, for those of you that have been around mega projects and giga projects, this is like a pimple on an elephant's ass. I mean, in terms of the containerized LNG solution, it is small footprint, it is low impact. It is pretty much on the well top, on the wellhead. It can be powered by renewable sources. It's set up to truck LNG, so we will be having a transport route, an existing transport route to the Broome power station, as well as the communities I referenced before. In terms of flow rates, we're really looking at 8 to 16 million scuffs a day. Phase 2 looks awesome, obviously informed by outcomes of appraisal, and have a look at the CCS contribution or demand, relative demand on the bottom here for you. We have delivered everything we have said we would deliver this year, and we will continue to deliver. Key catalysts are the finalisation of the seismic survey and the partner selection that is underway. I've been speaking with lots of partners who are interested in one or many of those schemes. This is how it fits together. Come down to the booth. I will take you through it in detail. It's also in the handouts at the booth, so you don't need to take copies here. It fits in harmony, phase 1 and phase 2. It's capitally very efficient. We also have lots of exploration to get after. That's all I'll say about that. Oil, look, it's a little bit yesterday, but it is a very, very accretive type of a business. So I'm very proud for what we have achieved there. And the 2 subsidiaries, CCS and 2H Resources I've spoken about before, and the role they play in the energy transition or energy expansion for Buru. Lastly, can't do it without a team. Amazing board, a very much more hands-off chairman than he was for the first 6 months, being a non-executive chairman, but very much guiding, and a great executive leadership team that I'm continuing to augment over the next 6 months. And very lastly, this is the value proposition. We've got a dominant position in the Canning. We know the Canning better than anyone. We've been there a long time. We've had a eureka moment, and we are putting all of our capital, all of our resources, and all of our partner selection efforts to making that a reality. So my voice just lasted. Thank you very much. Did that take back the 3 minutes as well? Go, go, go. Okay. And now, over to Stuart.